Heard about it, never expected that it could land. Sounds like magic, because nobody else in the world could make something like that work. Yeah, well, that's the type of, problem that you gotta throw hundreds of millions of dollars of cash at, down a hole, and literally find the wrong way of doing it twice before you actually find a potential way of maybe it working out. So yeah, if you want a brief overview of exactly how server meshing works, I have a great way of explaining it that you can put it in layman terms to your friends. So, here's goes. Server meshing for the layman. Alright. So, imagine you have 3 Counter-Strike levels, or, Anthem levels, or whatever the kids play these days. Overwatch, whatever it is. You have 3 of those levels, right? All next to each other in a row. Imagine there are no visual borders or walls, okay? And you could see other people playing in the other servers from your server, right? Now, imagine that you can walk from your server into the other server, right? So that is server meshing, is 3 different servers. Everybody has loaded into the mesh, 1 loading screen, and then when you want to go from this map to this map, you literally just walk there and you're there. Right? That's basics, right? That's just moving entities across. Next, you can now be in this server and shoot people in this server. The entities that you create spawn and are affected across all servers in line of sight, right? So being able to shoot in a multiplayer game across 3 different maps on 3 different servers is huge. Now, dynamic server meshing. Everybody goes onto onto map number 3. Map number 2 is visually loaded. Map number 1 is completely offloaded and shut down on the server, right? Now, they move over to the center map. This dynamically spins back up. Everybody's able to move anywhere. Everybody's able to see everywhere and shoot. Now, take it even a step further. Super dynamic meshing is where, okay, so all of these people are in a room, in a closet, or in the 3rd floor on this building on this map. No other servers are running, and only a server that is localized around this floor that is spun up dynamically. Instead of it being like a hard thing, a server is a level. A server is whatever it wants to be. A ship, a hangar, a server can be a city. A server can be whatever it wants with this actual tech. So, and there's some other MMOs starting to put out their own similar... Yes, Ashes of Creation is one that has a similar type of tech, but again, it's not working inherently at the foundation level like Star Citizen is, and it's not going to scale like Star Citizen because of the dynamic part that Star Citizen is trying to achieve. That sounds something like a cost of fuck ton of money to run. Yeah, and infested with desync. Well, that's the problem, is that it solves the desync era. If they get the back end that's able to sync all of that, and that's the hard part, is getting it all to talk to each other. Who has authority? What overrides what data? Because if you're talking about, FPS games and MMO, or, FPS online games, you're talking about server client shake-off, handoffs and handshakes and all sorts of stuff that needs to happen, but dynamically on an open, meshing type system. It's just, yeah, absolutely insane, but the whole point is that ideally you would have a foundational system that is able to keep track of all of this before you would even attempt to build it. So that's kind of the foundation that Star Citizen has with the replication layer. All of this stuff is being transmitted back and forth from the replication layer. As soon as a server gets canceled or shuts down, or let's say crashes, another one could spin up and pull the data from the replication layer. So alone the tech from space onto a planet without a loading screen barely exists anywhere else. Exactly. Starfield couldn't even do it, and they had more than a decade of trying after Oblivion, or Skyrim. This is the fucking forever game that Todd Howard said he's been working on. Well, it doesn't really show, does it? And if it is, then you're a really shitty worker with your time. Watch the VOD of AoC regarding the mesh. They will split the areas into different servers dynamically if there are too many people in that, but yes. Physicalized aspect for SC is the tough part. You can drive a mount from one server to another, but it will be your mount, not something to pick up by another player. Ah! And that's the... Yes. Every single item is physicalized in the game. So ships, items, armor, everything is you can drop and pick up. So that's the key, is the authority, to drop an item right? And then have another player walk from another server and grab it. The authority and the handoff and the trades and the handshakes between giving that authority to and from players, instead of it just being bullets that can hit each other across servers. That's the big, big difference, I guess, between Ashes of Creation and Star Citizen's Mesh. But yes, either way it is. And somebody was saying that Unreal Engine 5.5 comes with meshing, but I highly doubt it's meshing. There's no way that they suddenly just got meshing working. CIG did things like that. I think that CIG has to do the way that they're doing it because of the scale. Again, it's one thing, especially when you don't give authority over other players' objects. Like, the whole idea is to create a giant sandbox where anybody can interact with anything all at once. So you have to, if you're doing that with a universal level with multiple planets and shit, then you have to be able to dynamically offload that. My mouse is just being really, really funky on MFD screens, it feels like. Especially in like the hold and F menus. Alright. Halfway done. Let's keep moving here.